because I worked at trying to establish always a script for everything, when it goes to pitch for sales, when it goes to deck to showcase to everybody. But when it goes to spontaneity and trying to be creative, uh, a good conversation beats everything, even the best video out there.
Yeah, brother. So I appreciate your time. You sound pretty good, and you're nice and steady. I like your blurred background. I don't
We're
bother
happy
doing that.
here. There's a lot of people here happy. For those folks who haven't seen the news lately, we beat Korea, we beat Venezuela. Well, we beat Venezuela. We beat ton of teams this week, and yeah, we're going for USA this Sunday.
Yeah, man. And I was
And
just saying, as we came on, you're like, "Oh, we're gonna beat you. We're gonna beat you." You think I'm American? I'm not American. You forgot I'm Canadian. And I'm just saying, dude, against the Americans, I
sorry.
cheered for the Americans in Olympic hockey this year because the Canadians are insufferable. Like, I'm Canadian.
Yeah, it was. I saw the game.
I've never cheered against my own country that I can remember. And I left the house. I'm like, geez, I think I want USA to win today. Why? Well, because the Canadians are insufferable. Like, they're just, I don't like, there's lots of them in Sasua. So I guess I'm
Yeah,
saturated by them.
I was during the days of the Olympics there, and believe me, a lot of people, very frustrated people watching the TVs that day.
Yeah. I was in George's bar here, George's Oasis bar, and I came in quietly. I had a balaclava on, like a gator that I used to use when I had to try and pass for having a mask on, which hardly ever happened. I only on the plane on the way down here, I think I have to use one. And so I had it, and it's got an American flag on it. So I pull it down tight, and I put my Flyers hat over top of it, and I snuck into the bar, which had about 45 Canadians in it. And I took off my hat quietly, and I put it down beside me, and my buddy's sitting at my table. He leans, Elmar. He leans over. He says, "Jimmy, you're not going for the Americans. Are you cheering against your own country?" I go, "Yes, I am." He goes like this. He couldn't believe it, right? And I go, I didn't even have to explain to him because he knows me well enough that whatever. But oh man, I'm so excited for
It's the same.
for the
It's the same
DR.
feeling. It's the same feeling that same feeling that you had using the American flag in a crowd of full of Canadians. It's the same vibe that I have here in Santiago. I'm from Licey team and the base and the Winter Bowl. So Licey is one of the biggest teams. It can be like the Yankees of the DR, and every time that I try to watch the Winter Bowl games in a bar in a gas station, and I go blue because it's the color of the team.
Oh,
Yeah, I we are rivals with the Águilas Ibaeñas, which is, I mean, I can say that I'm from Licey in this part of the country because people will lynch me in front of the streets by just saying that. So I get your feelings.
yeah, bro. So I guess before we get out, we're going to talk about you and how I want to get some personal details about like who you are, where you came from, and how you got to where you're going, and then we can talk about the work you're doing now. But I guess the appropriate first conversation is Vamos, Republicana Dominicana. Wow. And I see some
These weeks,
AI.
these weeks have been great because in basketball we beat the USA and Nicaragua, trying to get the qualifiers for the World Cup in basketball.
Oh,
Now baseball, beating everyone at the World Classic,
uh-huh.
and to Sunday is going to be the semifinals against the United States.
Yeah.
This year is going to be we're going to host the DR is going to host the Central American Games. So 2026 is wonderful for a big fan of sports, especially for us Dominicans, because there's ton of events we are going to enjoy this year so far, and it's not even March. Well, we're just getting into
Right.
spring in less than 1 week, and
It's for me,
2026
I
is
just
promising.
love, like, I was watching the Jays when they were rolling, and again, I got this anti-Canadian thing and stuck, and I'm a 10-time political candidate in my country. I love my country. I'm just embarrassed by how some of the people in especially the politicians, have been acting for the last 10 years. I don't want to get into politics with you, but no one has to ask me. Well, they do all the time. Like, what? Why Dominican Republic? And that baseball team, starting with Vladdy, like I know the guy, like I'm calling him first name, Guerrero Jr. And even Soto, the pitcher. I'm watching the highlights right now. Who's this pitcher they got? Who started the game against tall, skinny guy? Sanchez,
yeah.
Dude,
he's from La Romana. Yeah.
Their smile is on display for the whole world to see. And I don't know, the women are a completely different story in the Dominican Republic. I don't claim to understand women at all, forget Dominican women, but the men, their smiles light up the street, and they've always got one on their face. They seem
it's
like
the same with women too.
just not around me.
But yeah, in general, I think one of the cool things about DR as a culture is that we carry such a hospitality, not only for the ones who are foreign people, but also with the locals. I mean, trying to establish that as a country that suffered a lot in the past, and still suffers in many aspects in our daily lives. With one thing that really unites the country is that either with sports or religion, or it can be politics too, but in general, sports is the king of unifying the whole country as a whole. Like, we are rooting for DR. 11 million people plus the 4 million who lives in the United States and the rest of the world, and that's one of the things that most of the people love when it comes to either trying to vacation here or living here. And for you, for example, I'm totally sure, Jem, that you're here not only to escape from the bad things that Canada is having right now, but also to try to seek some peace, some people, friendly people out there in the streets. And when you go to the convenience store, when you go to the colmado, when you do some errands, and you see everybody smiling, it's because that's the Caribbean life.
Everyone says hello, and that's what I love about this baseball classic, especially now that I'm all in on DR. You know what I mean? I was hoping that the DR and the USA could meet in the final, but that can't happen because they're in the same bracket, I guess. I really wanted DR to play the States and beat the States in the final, but it'll probably be Japan and DR. If DR wins tomorrow against the States, then Japan will probably make it through. I would think they're the best out of that bracket that I can see anyway. But yeah, I just love to see if I was in the marketing department for the Dominican Republic, maybe one day I will be, because I love this country so much. I just want to promote it. I want everyone to move here, vacation here and everything. All I would have is smiling men on my commercial, just one after another. Smile, 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 smile. Because it's you say a friendly culture. I tell a story about a moto friend of mine. Once I've been here a little while, I walk down, he's got his arm around another guy. They're just, you can tell, I don't understand what they're saying because I'm not understanding the language. I'm getting better, but at that time I didn't understand it at all. And you can tell they're busting balls. They're just grinding each other, right? And the guy is on his way, says blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, who's that? Good buddy of yours? He goes, buddy, I just met him. You just met him. You just met this guy, a complete stranger. He drives across the street. He's got his arm around you, and he's busting. Like, you guys look like you've known each other for. No. It's just. And when I pulled into the gas station when I first got down here, I had a rental there for a little while, a car, and I pulled in, and this guy on a bike just drove by me. He had this big. The grin was so big, I thought he was laughing at me. And I watched him until he pulled around to the pumps. I got out of the car, and he just waved at me and said, hola. I'm like, what? Like, it's just my culture. And everyone says, Canadians are so nice. What? You're getting to see a little bit of the facade of Canadians aren't so nice these days, especially politically. And when it comes, that's why I wanted them to lose the Olympics, because I couldn't stand to see them win. Like, Americans are way better winners than Canadians are these days anyway. And you're talking about, yes, I never wanted to be the guy that lived on the tropics on a beach town or whatever like that. And I did leave my country to get away from the mandates when we're in the thick of COVID. I didn't want to get trapped there for 2 years, and that's how much they locked down for. And when I got down here, I describe it like it's like the 70s when we grew up at home. You know, when we were 5 and 6 years old and everything was cool and they smoked in bars and they weren't worried about being politically correct in their speech and saying the wrong thing and offending anyone or misgendering someone.
I can.
It's like the old days down here.
Yeah, it's a mix. No, most of the people, especially the ones who are watching this, gotta be understanding that they need to understand that what you're describing, it's not the whole country itself. There are parts like, yes, they behave like that. They're like in the 70s, like all the old customs and the say hellos and everything. But when you go to the big cities, like here, I'm in Santiago or in Santo Domingo, where I was born from, and I was raised there, and it's a totally different vibe. Uh, I come from the big city. In Santo Domingo, people doesn't behave like this unless
Okay.
you are really connected or friends or acquaintances. Uh, but in general, yeah, in general, let's say like 80% of the country behave just like what you described.
Yeah, I love it. So, anyway, tell me about the vibe specifically with the WBC now, the World Baseball Classic, and because I'm in a tourist town, and you know, I chose this town because this is where I came over 30 years ago. The first time I left, I guess, well, it's not really the continent, but the mainland North America, I flew here. You know, we came with 15 Remax agents, at least. We had a blast. Oh my God. And, you know, a quick story. I rented a bike. I broke the chain on the way to Playa Chiquita. Back then, there was no streets on the way to Playa Chiquita. It was like it was a trail, a dirt trail, right? And for me,
Really?
I think I'm in the middle of nowhere because there's, you know, I break my chain and a kid rolls up, and I'm telling you, with sticks and stones, he removed a link and got my chain back together on the sprocket and got me moving again. And I got back to the resort. I was staying at Casa Marina. My buddy says, well, you paid him 10 times too much, Jimmy. I'm like, dude, it was worth every penny. He got me rolling. When I got back, my chain was white hot because it was too tight. But, like, I couldn't believe it. So when an opportunity opened up for me to come down here, and my friend said, hey, just go. Book a ticket. Like, I'm not looking to adopt another son, but I'll help you out. And I'm like, I was done. And because I remembered all those, you know, those good memories of being in Sosúa now. So I'm in a tourist town. There's lots of Canadians, lots of Americans here. Not everyone is all, you know, enthusiastic about this WBC, but the Dominicans are.
And that was one of the things that I already discussed with many people in the groups and out there, is that not all the things that you see in a small city like Punta Cana or Sosúa in your case can be translated as a whole for the rest of the country. It's like the US. It's people in New York do things totally different, like people in California or Miami or Austin or Oklahoma. Those are like five different cities,
Right.
five different Americas. It's the same in the Dominican Republic. Santiago doesn't behave at all like in Sosúa vibes type of thing. Or Santiagueros, they don't behave as like people in Santo Domingo or the people in Punta Cana. It's like totally different subcultures, sort of totally different ways of commuting, doing work, mingle with people, doing things around. And most of the people doesn't understand that. And yeah, they see Sisu as a lot of people, and I don't blame them. They see Sisu as a microcosmos, and in reality, it is of a whole DR in the mix, in a nutshell. Because you see people hustling every day, going to fishermen, going to the sea and trying to hustling and doing work, where the opposite, you see chicas in the streets hustling, hustling and earn their money for other things. but there's honest people and bad people. Like it has become that city, that region in particular, the North Coast has become like a microcosmos that it's still very attractive for um, snowbirds and people that enjoy living and surrounding with locals.
So tell me what the vibe's like specifically around this World Baseball Classic in the big cities, because in my small town, like you've talked about, I've seen you talk about this
It's
online.
huge.
It's like they're
It's
putting,
huge.
and we do this to a certain extent too. You know, when the Leafs are in the playoffs, they put a jumbotron up and they sell tickets inside the stadium, and outside there's a huge party and whatnot. So give us a little idea what is going on in the big cities, because we don't feel that huge Dominican vibe down here, that culture and that explosion of enthusiasm. Like we're all in our own little bars clapping and screaming and yelling, and you know, I'm with the locals all the time. Like all my friends are Dominicans, you know what I mean? So how can I not cheer? How can I cheer for the United States when I'm in a bar with all my local friends and they're Dominican? They're like, you know, and I'm not doing it just to get along. It's just how I support my host. But you know, I'm in George's little bar and there's 10 or 15 of us, and I know Mateo's and King. They got
Well,
some events
let me
going on,
answer
but
that. Let me answer that very quick. It's been a mix. Uh, Obviously, in the big cities and cities where the majority of Dominicans are obviously a huge part of the population, this is a big deal because there's a national team playing. They're our biggest stars in baseball. They're representing their country. Some of them, a majority of them, this is the first. This is the team that it's all about. A lot of players are using the national team uniform for the first time, and you're seeing big players like Vladdy for the first time with the team, or Christopher Sanchez, or Sir Anthony Dominguez, or uh, guys that you see regular basis in the major leagues and all 30 stadiums around the United States and Canada, but you never seen them before in your hometown using the national team uniform. So this is a big deal. When they did the two games exhibition a couple of weeks ago in Santo Domingo, it was a blast, especially for the kids because they've never seen a big leaguer like of that level in their hometown, just clapping their hands and saying hello. So it's
wow.
a huge deal for a lot of Dominicans that they've seen their stars in person or at least and the court side and live or in the big screens, and that applies for other big stars in basketball and volleyball and soccer. All these kids that are playing for the national team,
Hmm.
they don't play nationwide, so they have to work outside of the country. For example, all our best players from soccer, they don't play here. They don't play in the country. They played in South America. They played in Europe. They played in the United States, and barely you see them every 2 times a year in a game of this level, and it's a huge thing for us. Like once a player, no matter which discipline they're playing with, puts the national team uniform, it's a huge uh, thing for the country, and uh, and I totally get it. Most of the Americans doesn't understand this. Like having the national uniform, like a Paul Skeens or Aaron Judge, using the national team uniform and representing their country, they may not see them like a huge deal, but for us Dominicans, it's a huge deal because you're representing not only you as a player, not only you're representing yourself, but you're representing 12 million Dominicans that are going to be at bat
In their
and
backyards, yeah.
getting that ball out of the field. So that's a huge. That's why it's so important.
You know what?
Uh,
It's so good to see the national pride, because in North America we're taught that national pride is racist. Like you're intolerant somehow if you want to preserve. In my country, it's a white culture. It's a white Christian culture, and now we're seeing a
well,
massive
the DR is
influx of.
very Christian, and
Oh yeah.
you're a Christian, and you see it every day.
Yeah.
And
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 it's nice to see the culture, the politicians, and the people stand for the survival of their culture because it's important. You don't want it diluted, you know. Yeah, so I'm really proud to be here. I'm so happy that my host is gracious and friendly for the most part. Yeah, there's always a hustle or whatever. Like I have my niece in town a couple times over the last year, and she just left. She was here for a week, and
okay,
she's 28, and she's gone to concerts and festivals with her friends and been alone in the middle of nowhere many times by herself. So I give her a long rope. Like I'm not that protective that I have to, at the Bad Bunny concert, I don't have to go with her to get the beer. She can go get her beer by herself, like she's okay. But as an example, she was on the beach the other day, and good thing a couple of my friends were there because a couple of three chicas approached her. And they did the same thing to an 80-year-old friend of mine. Knocked him down, took his wallet, ran away, and there's nothing you can do. And they're like, hey, come here. And they're giving her all kinds of vulgar sexual, and they got close to her. And when they got close to her, my friend went in and put her arm around her and said, hey, she's with me. Get lost. Like they were going to shake her down probably, and I would never think that my niece would have to worry about the chicas here because she's a girl. And she said, me either. Like I'm watching out for the moto guys and, keeping my head on a swivel and being careful, but never would I think that a couple girls working the streets would be a threat to me. But, and it doesn't happen too often, but,
doesn't happen too often, but yes,
Mm-hmm.
it happens.
Yeah.
And it's not great that you put that example. I'm sorry for your niece to have to experience that kind of situation, but it's also happening with local tourists
Mm-hmm.
around the city, and they having that kind of bad feeling when they're walking around over the streets of Sosua and being pointed out like, yeah, you look like a street girl, and it doesn't. It's just a tourist. She's a local tourist enjoying like the beach, like the rest of the people, and that's one of the things that I uh, really want to encourage to the city as a whole to change, especially in that area. Like if they want to transition as a city from to being getting away of that kind of bad behavior and moving into a city that is welcoming, is vibrant, and it has events for everybody. It's not with a simple cleanup that has to be solved. It's all about with the culture, and the culture has to be coming with the locals, the business people, the ones who are open, have bars or have venues around Sosua, uh, in all levels.
Mm-hmm.
And they should be able to have a seat and say, hey, yes, the city is changing, but how we're going to be reflecting that. And we have a bunch of people that they are honest and do their stuff in a way that it can be a reflection of what is going to be Sosua for the next 20, 50 years.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Simple as that.
yeah.
And Santo Domingo faced that situation 10 years ago.
Okay.
The current minister of tourism, who was back in that time used to be the mayor of Santo Domingo. Santo Domingo was a shithole, literally, back then. So he tried to revamp the whole city by cleaning up the streets, putting everything in function and work, but in general, to transform the city from being, especially in the coastal area, which is the Malecon. The Malecon was what it was Sosua 10 years ago for Santo Domingo. Like all the prostitution,
Mm-hmm.
no lights, insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
Walking there at 7 p.m., it was
Dangerous.
literally a death sentence
Wow.
for anyone there. So he transformed the city, and now I'm not approving. I'm just putting that example of his administration. I'm not rooting for him, by the way, but that was the template of what's going on in all cities like Mitches, like Rio San Juan, like in Valladolid, and now with Sosua.
Mm.
All that simple template of revamping the city, cleaning up the streets, putting everything at work, and working with local business people to transform the city. It's what is can be the successful template to replicate. And Sasua is the jewel of the crown for everybody, and especially for you, especially for the realtors. Like if the politicians transform Sasua and the way they're trying to supposed to, obviously it's gonna be uh, like a huge transformation for that city.
And good for
In
business, for good for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of believe me, if they follow the same pattern, and hopefully they do, you're gonna see skyscrapers in Sasua
Wow.
in the next 5 years.
You know, it's like it's like when COVID was coming. I'm like, okay, so the obese and the elderly are dying. I'm not worried. In this, a bad example, maybe a comparison, but in Sasua, when the crackdown came and the cleanup came, I'm like, the only guys that are complaining really are the passport bros and a few small businesses that were affected by the lack of chicas and guys selling cigarettes in the streets or Viagra or whatever. Their business is going down. Even my barber, you know what I mean? He's like, Jimmy, it's bad, man. He's got a good clientele of people, a good base of clients, but he still survives a lot on that foot traffic and the number of tourists. And maybe I'd love to be introduced to the public relations department for the country, because you've got so many good things. And I think from a PR standpoint, from a public relations standpoint, they handled the transformation of Sasua horribly. Like, I mean, even still, they're not handling it correctly.
Which is totally opposite. Sorry to interrupt. Which is totally opposite of what happened in Santo Domingo. Now Santo Domingo is going to host a regional game, the Central American Games. It's going to be in 6 months. All the concerts are happening in Santo Domingo. The Malecon, the boardwalk, is now, they have like a skateboard, like they have like a state fair, they have a go-kart venue, they have all this stuff that they didn't have 10 years ago. So it's happening. Right. And it's not even in that area with the crackdown happening in Santo Domingo 10 years ago. Right. It's not even yet developed. Right. Once they develop it in that way, that's going to be booming.
Yeah, I just mean from a public relations standpoint, they could have really managed this as a plus, right? And I feel like how they approached it, it got publicized as a negative. We've got too many of the media going around going, tyranny, 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 government bad. They could have done it differently. And they needed to do is be coached a little bit, because, for instance, 2 weeks ago in high season, they closed Sasua Beach and knocked down 3 or 4 more casitas. They could have taken those casitas down in low season and just not have the bad publicity of everyone going, oh, the military stormed the beach and closed it down for the day. Do that in low season. Don't do it in February, one of the best months for the year for tourism and for the guys on the beach to make some money. What are you doing shutting the beach down to pull up? So I think a lot of it could have been managed better from a public relations standpoint, but what do I know? But
that's up to blame. That's up to blame of the discoordination between government and local authorities and the ones who are managing to make this project happen. And that's been in discussion for the last 2 years, I think. Yeah. If they want to do the crackdown, it has to be in low season. If they wanted to do the construction, it has to do in low season. But they are not thinking. The ones who are in government, they're not forward thinking.
Interesting.
You and I, when it goes to development, and I'm not a real estate guy, but when it goes to growing things, when it goes to products, when it goes to services, in my arena, from tech to sales to sports to different other environments, what you contemplate thinking and being thinking and strategically, like in the long term, and how you're going to execute. Sadly, what you're saying that is totally true. The way they have been executing this plan has been outrageous. It hasn't been. Instead of doing good, has been more bad publicity for Sasua.
I agree. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming out. Let's get into what are you doing these days? To tell us a little bit about who you are, where you grew up, and what you're actually doing now. I did have, and I'll pull it up now, your website here, but it says I can't minimize it, but I can. I'll just move it out of the way. So I got your website up here. It's on the first page. Hello. And it's got a nice picture of you. Look it up. So, tell us a little bit about you, where you came from, and what are you doing now?
So, I'm Joan. I'm from Santo Domingo, but I consider myself as a Capitaleño with Cibaeño soul. Like for over a decade, after I left Santo Domingo 10 years ago, just in the middle of the transition. I was stuck in traffic one day watching over the sea and say, I can't deal with this anymore. Like in the movie Network, I can't do this anymore. So I moved away from Santo Domingo because of the traffic, because of the madness, and because of I wanted to find a place where I can feel in a peaceful way to grow myself professionally. So I moved to North Coast for a while, and I spent 2 years in Cabarete, working with a tech company that didn't go well. Then I moved back to Santiago, and since 2017, I've been enjoying this beautiful part of the country. And I have a son, 15 years old. He's a professional swimmer.
Nice. He's a what?
And, yeah, he's a professional, a pro. So his best numbers are 25 seconds in 50-meter freestyle.
Nice.
So yeah. So that makes me a lot. I had to hustle a lot to keep keeping this athlete growing. So over the last 10 years, I focused on business development, but in tech, but also in other sectors like tobacco and sports. And lately, I'm working with American companies or expats who have businesses in the Dominican Republic, advising them on how to do great marketing or trying to improve their making the businesses more efficient.
Have you seen the AI commercial with the kids talking about the plate of cheese and how the guys on it's just like 2-year-olds, but it's AI. They're talking like
There's
adults.
been a lot of AI based
dude, I
commercials
have
lately.
to
I haven't
find this.
seen them.
I have to find this. Anyways, one of the kids, he's dressed in a baseball uniform, and the kid says, he starts by saying, "Vamos tranqui." I go, "Vamos tranqui." Vamos tranqui? Like, is this a new saying that the kids are saying that I've never, like, I haven't met a Dominican yet that knows what vamos tranqui means. They go, "Vamos tranquilo." No, vamos tranqui.
Probably vamos tranquilo. Yeah.
Vamos tranqui. Maybe
that would be my first assumption. Yeah.
You know what? Maybe now that I think about it, maybe it's an AI glitch. But I thought it was, I thought they were like cashing in on
Probably it's intentional.
Yeah, I thought maybe it is. Maybe it's an AI glitch because I thought it was. They were picking up on new slang, right? I'm trying to remember where I put it. Maybe it's on. Oh, yeah, it's on my Instagram. Oh, it's on my other account on my Instagram, I think.
Anyway. You were saying about the current stuff and how you were talking, and I've seen all your videos regarding people from the States and Canada moving more and more into different parts of the Dominican Republic, and you as a big promoter of the North Coast, and you've seen all these changes that have been happening over the last 5 years. And this is a question. So do you think that more and more people are willing to step aside and say, yeah, I want to move to the DR despite all the madness that we have here?
Great question, man. I'm actually glad you asked that question because I am surprised and shocked that more Canadians and more Americans aren't saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm done with the price of electricity, of gasoline, of groceries, of my government oppression, of just Well, in both countries, we've seen a mass influx of immigration from countries that don't want to assimilate with ours anymore. Like immigrants used to come in and be part of the community, learn the language and stuff. Now they all go into their own little like communities. They don't learn the language. They're not, and a lot of them are milking the welfare system and stuff. So I don't know why more Canadians specifically don't just say, I'm done, I'm out. Because many of them have been here before. If they looked into it, they could figure out how easy it is to live here, you know, and I mean, the government just is good with like foreign investment. You can move massive amounts of money here with no strings. You know, you got to do it through a lawyer. You know what I mean? But so I am constantly surprised why more people aren't saying, "I'm out. I'm going to look. I'm going to rent a place for 6 months, and I'm going to seriously look at buying a place down here and making this my second home and getting out of the country for the winter season."
And you know
at
what?
least.
I see more and more people moving away from the beach and exploring other cities in the country. Here in Santiago, there's a lot. Well, before this interview, before we had it stock, I was in the supermarket and I was trying to cash out from the ATM, and I saw three kids, American kids. I noticed that because they have a Chase Bank card, and they having issues with the ATM, and say, and then tell them, listen, guys, I noticed that you've been trying 2 or 3 times trying to cash out from the ATM. Call your bank, because if you try more than once or twice, maybe your bank will be declined and your funds are not going to be received. And she's surprised that I speak in English. She understood immediately. And that makes you wonder, like, yeah, these people are exploring all their cities, all the areas, besides being in Punta Cana or in Sosua or in Samana. They're willing to explore other cities, and Santiago is one of a kind for especially for Americans and especially for veterans.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, it's an interesting take, and I think it's happening slowly. To answer your question completely, I think that we are entering a phase now where the dissatisfaction with Orange Man Bad, Trump in the States, you got a lot of elbows up crew that are saying, I'm done with the States. But that's maybe half the population, right? That are loyal liberals, and for some reason they hate America now because of Donald Trump. And they're en masse listing their properties for sale in places like Arizona, Florida especially, where what they purchased years, decades ago, they're now dumping. And they're finding, because they're wanting to dump them all at the same time, that nobody can sell anything. So, because there's too much on the market. So that's going to bring prices down. I know some people that got out early in the States, sold before the massive amounts of, the massive people that did it all at once, and they did all right. But in places like Florida and Arizona, the snowbirds are going to take a beating. They will sell eventually. And I think that time's coming now, maybe over the next 12 to 18 months, where these people are going to be liquid in Canada and wondering, where am I going to put my money? Where am I going to go now? If not Miami or North Miami Lakes or Orlando or wherever they were, where am I going to go? So you've got options. You've got Colombia, you've got Panama, you've got Mexico. All of them got issues. None of them are as friendly to expats that overstay their visas. Like in Colombia, you overstay your visa and you get picked up and deported, you can't not come back, whether you own property there or not. And
Wow, for real?
Oh yeah, they take immigration seriously. And and Mexico's got its own problems, especially with the gringos now. Like the cartels run rampant, and so I think that when people do their research and they look at places like Belize, maybe Belize is not.
I met a lot of people during high season that they were. I mean, that was a couple of years ago. That they were exploring the art and then jumping to Belize and then Tulum and other. Well, that was when Tulum was hot. That is not these days. but they were exploring other areas, and Belize was into word of mouth to permanently live there.
Yeah, that might be one of the more friendly ones, other than the ones I mentioned, even Costa Rica. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They've got restrictions on property ownership, on foreign
Yeah,
investment, and stuff
I
like that.
wasn't, yeah,
Immigration restrictions. None of
I
that.
was in, I was in Costa Rica in November. Beautiful, amazing as a country, but they're not developed as us
Yeah,
when it goes
strange.
to those kind of stuff, especially when it goes to cost of goods. They are very expensive compared
There.
to the,
Yeah. And,
and
and so I think if people
that's a
do,
major claim from, especially from Americans who travel a lot. That's all. I'm in a group of people from that travel to Costa Rica, and the major complaint is their prices.
yeah, so I think good things lie ahead for the rental market and for the resale market, the real estate market. I think that good times are ahead, especially, I mean, every news that I see coming out of the Dominican Republic now is good. I mean, this submarine cable going to Puerto Rico, Google investment, 3 new airports on the north coast. Are talking about a new LNG electricity station in Monte Cristi, I think it is. Like, I mean, development,
Yeah,
development, development. Deals with the Trump administration on what was the last one they did? The charter that they just signed that makes Dominican Republic a level 1 strategic partner with the, like, I mean, if
the open wings, I think alliance. I think
yeah,
that we have a lot better alliance with the United States,
yeah.
and also that recently AROD just strike a deal with the government to build an international airport in Cabrera. So yeah, I think we're having a great run. Uh, in my 4 years of life, and mostly people will assume, have you lived in the States? Have you lived in Canada? They say, no, I just go there for business and enjoy the chicas there. So, and in my 40 years of being in the country, all my life, actually, I never seen such a growth. And don't get me, I'm not biased because I'm Dominican. I'm just being very professional in saying this. I never seen such a strike of a winning strike of a country in so low amount of time. Like in less than 25 years, we've been having after the crisis that we have in 2003. It's all about growth, 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 growth since then, uh, and it's because of several factors. And I'm going to put it very simple for the audience. Number one, we sat together in the 90s. We saw the crisis in Cuba, we saw the crisis in Haiti, 94, 95, and all the politicians sat together and say, we don't want to be like our neighbors. And they made a pact and they sat together and say, hey, this is how the DR should be in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That was the only time in the nation history that everybody sat together and say, hey, we don't want to be like the rest of the world. We don't want to have any bad situations. Let's fix our shit internally and move forward with fixing our stuff. Yes, 30 years after that pact, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, especially the people behavior in the streets. But when it goes to development, when it goes to growth, when it goes to having electricity 24/7, having utilities in a functional way, let's say, compared to other countries, having a certain stability when it goes to opening a business, that, yeah, there's still a lot of challenges in that matter, especially for startups. And one of the big supporters that small businesses, when you're starting a business in DR, you should be having a period of grace where you can be able to pay no taxes and having a secure, comfy couch when you can launch your business with zero interest, with zero taxes, and move forward. I'm not the only one thinking about this. There's a lot of politicians here who have tried to push that agenda of having a secure environment for business people and for investment. Yeah, it's not about, yeah, you get 100, if you have 100K, 200K, your house, and you get a visa and you get a permanent ID Dominican resident card. but what about after that? What kind of tax incentives you're gonna get as a Canadian or American who's investing in our country, for example? What's the real cash? What's the real benefits?
Yeah.
All that kind of questions should be answered now for the next 25, 30 years in our country.
Well, you know what? I will give your government credit. Well, I give your government credit for a lot of things. But one, it was the Doral Charter that I was
They may
thinking
be
about.
corrupt. They may be corrupt, but they're
Well, it's at least it's more out in the open. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, it's corruption's everywhere in government now, but it just goes with the job, and you kind of expect that it's cost of doing business. Humans are humans; they're going to get corrupt, especially where money is involved. But the Doral Charter is the one I was talking about, and I think it's been compared to the Monroe Doctrine back in the day, and basically it's Trump's agreement with Caribbean nations that we own the West. We're the king of the West. The United States is the king. And if you want to do business with the king, you're going to have to help us out in a couple areas. One, you got to help us with the drug smuggling, illegal immigration, crime, and green green lighting traffic lanes and imports and exports and stuff like that. We'll make it easy for you if you cooperate with us on this, but you have to kneel to the king. You have to say, we're number one. And also, it's keeping China out, right? Trump is obsessed with, buying in America, self-producing their own energy, and China's being a threat now. So I think this doctrine's like, if you help us put the reins on China and keep them out of our country through your back doors, we'll take care of you. So I'll give them credit for their forward thinking, because let me just finish. My country right now has taken a very adverse opinion and view politically of the Trump administration, and it's ruining the country, man. They're not negotiating trade pacts. They're getting hustled on tariffs, and they're just not coming to the table. They're not sharing information with the states anymore, and it's all going to turn around and bite them in the ass. So countries and governments, specifically like Dominican Republic, and I'm not saying that Dominican people are all a fan of the states or all a fan of the Trump administration. Hardly. I think they're more conservative than many other countries.
We're very more conservative than most
but
of the
at least they had the foresight to say, okay, Daddy's called. He needs us to cooperate. We'll cooperate because it's good for everyone. You know what I mean? Not this, oh, no, Orange man bad. We're not doing that. I mean, the Liberal government in Canada was elected by being anti-Trump.
And you gotta understand that in our nature as a nation, we do business with everybody. We do business with China, we do business with India, we do business with the States, we do business with other countries like Brazil, with Russia, with everybody. And the cool thing is that I compare the Dominican government, especially the last four administrations, to by Abinader, from the first, second administrations of Abinader, and the previous administration from the PLD party, is that I compare that as the government is a hustler. Like, yeah, Poppy, I can do business with you. I can do business with you. They sat together with everybody, and they do finish their turns with everybody. And that comparison that you said, oh, Daddy Trump is alarmed that he's not giving attention at all, is that we just sat together and say, yeah, we need to, call Daddy Trump. We're gonna give him what he wants. But at the same time, we haven't closed business with China. We are keeping business with China at the moment. We're keeping business with India. And if the Americans wants to have American companies here, they're going to have their own space, and they're going to pay their taxes when it goes to opening business. And at the same time, we're going to do business with Dubai. Like we have the biggest port that we have in the country is owned by the Dubai government.
Okay.
That's one of the things that most of the people don't understand. The airports that we have, except for the Punta Cana and Santiago, are administered by the French government, the Vinci airports. That's the thing that most of the people doesn't understand. And that electricity power plant that is going to be built in Monte Cristi is going to be owned by Canadians and a mix of Canadians and Americans. So we do business with everybody. We, all the strategy that Trump has been doing all the time, with everybody saying you got to do business with me, we already have that mindset for decades. The thing is that we already protect ourselves with these type of situations, and if one if and we if, and we keep the pendulum depending what the nature and what the government is happening. We were, I remember, we in the early 2000s, we were pro-Europeans with France, UK, Germany.
Germany, yeah.
They have all these uh, uh, offices around the country and supporting farmers, supporting small businesses. All the funds from Europe we received it at the early 2000s. Now we're switching to the U.S. There's no USAID because he closed it. So the way we're going to be doing business with him is going to be okay. He wants a commission of everything that he wants. That's okay. It's how it operates.
Cost
You
of
know
doing
how
business, yep.
that's how Trump operates. He always wanted a commission because
Right.
he's a businessman. So so he's trying to do all this stuff in order to get his commissions. And we understood that because our president is a businessman. He has done business with Trump in the past. So he knows how they operate in these scenarios.
Well, I don't know what the future holds politically for the Dominican Republic. When I left Canada, I stopped talking about politics, and I'm not about to enter the political fray in a country I don't understand and don't have any right commenting on because I can't vote and I'm not part of the political process in this country. But I'd like to see a stable government. And the Abinader government has been stable. And now that he's in the second term, a lot of money in infrastructure starting to flow. And he's a North Coast guy, too. So the North Coast has been getting a lot of good infrastructure spending.
The Abinader family used to own land.
They still do, I think. The old casino on the North Coast is his family's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're the North Coast government because a bunch of officials are from the North Coast. Marisa is from the big families in Puerto Plata. Abinader is from Santiago, but he has land and assets in Puerto Plata. So these two administrations has been pro-North compared to the previous two administrations who were pro-South, pro-Santo Domingo type of thing.
Okay.
So I totally agree with you. We can establish a forecast of how it's going to be after 2028. But I'm going to be straightforward with you. The Dominicans have been more conservative. And over the last 6 years, Dominicans in general are more aware of the government, how the government is operating. They've been criticizing more and more the status quo in general.
Interesting.
Right now, there's a bunch of them who have been swung to the far right type of thing. We haven't had that in our past because at the end, all the political parties that we has been since the dictatorship in '61. All the political parties that we had are either social democrats or centric, but always leaning to the left. So we don't have like a certain ideology when it goes to be far right, far left. But the last 6 years, the rise of the far right has been on the rise. The politicians wants to keep that away on the status quo. They don't want to have these type of situations that we've seen in Iran, we've seen in Spain, or here in Mexico, where a lot of people protesting, a lot of people clashing with the current situation. Politicians in general, they wanted to keep things as is for the better, to keep everything okay, to keep the influx of money and investment, and you have to keep things quiet. And as I said, politicians in general, they want to keep things
Tranquilo.
as it is, tranquilo, to keep things for the next 10 or 20 years. For example, this week, the Senate approved that any candidate who's not affiliated with a party can apply for a presidential candidate in 2028 and
What?
onwards.
So you're
Yeah.
going to have an influx of independents?
No, there's an influx of independent candidates
Oh,
actually, because the current political spectrum has been atomized over the last 5 years, because most of the people after the PLD lost the elections in 2020, there's been a massive influx of politicians who've been either creating their own political party, or they are independent, or and that's been for the political industry, Dominican political industry, that's like a sabotage. And so you don't want to have this type of situation. So the Senate approved this week that independent candidates cannot apply to be for
oh,
the
they
presidential
can't
campaign.
apply. Okay, I thought they were letting them up. Oh, okay. So you need to be with a registered political party to run for president
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So you had to be part of the system. So there's a
Uh,
bunch of people say, no, I don't want to be part of the corrupt political system, because I know how you guys operate and how you guys negotiate, and they are tired. A huge Dominican population, and the ones who voted, especially in 2024, that they're very, very uh, preoccupied of the alliances that the parties have been doing. Compared to America, compared to the Canada and other parts of the world, and this side of the of America, political parties can negotiate either a seat, or either being a mayor of a small city like Sosua, or negotiate positions in other cities in order to get their share of the pie for the political spectrum. So that's been forever. I mean, since we have elections, democratic elections, all the parties uh, either they're opposed, they negotiate. And in 2024, there's been a massive strike of people who didn't vote or vote absent in the national election, and it was against that. They don't want to uh, parties negotiate. They have this silent vote that they don't agree with the system that we have right now. So there's been a sense of change, and the politicians don't want to have that kind of changes in the system. They want to keep things as usual.
cool,
I
man.
mean, you have senators that have been in the seat in the chamber for almost 4 decades, and they haven't done nothing for their province at all,
Yeah,
and
term
they're
limits,
just
man.
squeezing the national budget, and they're doing their businesses. Some of them, they have two or three, four businesses while they have in their seat in the Senate, or the Chamber of Representatives, or even politicians. And one of the things that we thought that is going to be part of that change is that the current administration promised, having there itself promised, that every politician that every person, no matter he's a politician or not, who can be part of the office, shouldn't be having businesses outside of it. But we've seen the opposite: politicians entering, business people entering into the office, and they keep their businesses afloat. They don't separate between the state and their private businesses. So that's a thing that happened. That hasn't changed, and people doesn't like that. Uh, Although you don't see that and protest here, or people protesting here about that, there's a silent voice among Main Street Dominicans that they don't like that kind of situation.
And if it's not silent, then they're banging their pots and pans and making a ruckus, man. I love that. I love it when they take to that, man. We saw that with the fiscal reforms that they put forward and then drew
We
back people.
rejected the fiscal reform. I mean, if that, I mean, I was. Don't get me. I'm not gonna. Uh, I'm gonna be honest. I'm pro fiscal reform. We need that fiscal reform right away, because the current system that we have the current tax system that we have puts in jeopardy the current government when it goes to um, the revenue that they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've seen, don't get me started with the, for example, did you know that we have 3 million motor drivers in the country?
3 million.
Yeah. Did
Okay.
you know that just 1% of those 3 million pay taxes?
They're illegal.
Yeah.
They don't have a registration on their moto. They don't pay a yearly
They don't
registration.
pay. They don't pay the registration, or the government doesn't enforce that, and they don't. And the government doesn't have the capacity to enforce it.
They
That's
don't
why you
have
see.
the
That's why
manpower.
you see all the street police street. They don't do anything
Mm-hmm.
because they can jump in the street. They cross over from the police, and they don't have the capacity.
Mm.
So I'm I'm in favor of that fiscal reform because
Well,
we
it's a
need it.
huge opportunity for revenue
Yes,
too. And
yes.
if you do it intelligently, you'll
Mhm.
foster foreign investment, you'll foster real estate growth, you'll foster social programs for the people that really need it. And I mean, I get
For
it.
example, we may pay 18% for sales tax and
Hmm.
everything, but that's the lowest sales tax that we have right now in the country, in around Latin America,
Really.
because yeah, compared to other parts,
Hmm.
yeah, you may see Panama pay zero tax, but the government enforce tax declaration among their citizens and very strongly in many other ways. But here, because the government doesn't have enforcement, that's why you see the 18% in everything.
Right.
Uh, that's the only way that the government makes money here.
Yeah,
And
and I mean, even as a realtor, I see the amount of money that's available to the Dominican government by taxing Airbnb income. Here, foreigners come in, they buy property. That's good. They rent
mhm.
property. They take the money out of the country, and they don't pay anything on it. So, I get. I don't think there's too many Dominicans that are going to be screaming about Airbnb profit.
I'm
Maybe
gonna
there will be a lot, but
let's go to let's go
I
to
think
the
there are a
other
lot of
side of this.
foreigners that are really
Let's go,
concerned
no,
about it.
let's go to the other side of the spectrum. Did you know the majority of hotels in this country pay taxes? Did you know there's a tax exception for hotels and that?
Well,
So
that's everyone that's complaining is the hotel owners. They're
yeah,
like, we pay taxes. What do we got to pay taxes on rooms for if these guys aren't paying taxes? So their lobby group is pretty good because the lobby group's got everyone convinced they're all paying taxes.
yeah. So there's a lot of things here when it goes to revenue from the government that needs to be improved,
Mm-hmm.
and that I really in favor of major reform around the country,
Yeah.
and in many ways.
Well,
for the
brother.
for the good for the citizens. And you know that no, and you're gonna make all these excuses about it.
Mm,
Oh no, because this is a third world country. No, it's not.
no, it's not.
This
I
is a
hate when
very
people say third
this
world
is a
country.
very developing country. No, because the majority earns below $400 a month. No, it's not. There's a huge bunch of people who their major influx is from remittances,
Mm,
from mom and pop sending money from New Jersey to here, and they don't declare that money, or people here who are not with a bank account because they're afraid of the fees that the banks are we have, which are, actually those fees are outrageous. But in general, that system of uh, disorganization and informal things around the system that makes the system very, very more corrupt,
mm,
more disorganized, and more prone to scams in
abuse.
many, many ways.
Mm,
Because someone who's from Ottawa will say, "Oh, I'll buy a property, and let's go to real estate. I'm going to buy a 125K property in Santiago." And they don't realize that they need to pay their yearly taxes because no one told them.
mm-hmm.
Oh, but you need to pay the taxes. It's just 1% after a certain amount of money. Uh, it's just very little and very small compared to the
Mm-hmm.
what's in Canada. I mean, how much you're paying for taxes for property taxes in Canada?
Jeez, it's way more than 1% a year.
How much we're talking about?
I wouldn't know. They don't. It's based on a mill rate and stuff like that. But taxes in Canada are insane. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, you're.
But
I
going for
don't know.
that, yeah. But uh, even with that, even with the fiscal reform, foreign people, snowbirds, expats will still paying low,
Oh yeah.
and Dominican citizens will be paying low, just by just declaring. I'm an independent contractor, and I
Mm-hmm.
declare my taxes. And simple as that, I don't pay taxes because I just declare them. The government, what Jim, every government in the world, and you know that, they just want you to declare their income,
Mm-hmm.
and simple as that. If you don't declare it, that's a fee.
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no?
Yeah. Declare if you want to stay legal.
Yeah, as simple as that. And I'm legal. I'm just declaring my income.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have different sources. And I just declare them and say, hey, government, I'm here. And this is my money. This is all the things that I just earned. Do I have to pay you? Say, no, bye bye. That's it. But
Yeah.
the majority of Dominicans, they are afraid of that kind of system and
Uh-huh.
do it because I'm independent. But the majority of Dominicans, once they say, oh, just by keeping their money in their bank, it's kind of like a Halloween's nightmare because at the end they feel like, oh my, the government is counting my money.
Not only that, I mean, the fees aren't insignificant. I think my bank charges me $15 a month or something like that. Like if
Mhm.
you don't have a minimum balance or whatever, like
Yeah, if you don't have a minimum,
yeah,
like for
and
example, they charge you for that. Then
mm-hmm,
after that, they don't charge you.
mm-hmm,
But that's one of the things that need to improve here, and that's one of the things that most of the people who are coming here for the first time are not being told. It's just simple details,
mm-hmm,
just where it goes to that type of stuff, either making business or on a daily basis. Once you hang around here,
mm-hmm.
there's a bunch of people that they still assume that we don't pay taxes on restaurants here, but we do pay 28% on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's because the majority, a certain bunch of restaurants in the beach, they don't pay. That's their problem. But in general, all major restaurants in the country pay 28% in
Mm-hmm.
taxes, and you have to pay as a consumer.
Yeah, brother. I want to respect your time. An hour and 7 minutes just flew by. It goes fast, eh, bro? I just want on the way out give you a chance to tell us like what are you up to these days? What's your passion? What are you
Oh,
loving to
it
do
caught
these
up.
days? Oh, okay. I was just saying thank you for your time. Number one, an hour just flew by. It goes pretty quickly, but on the way out, I just want to give you. I want to kind of read what you're up to. What do you love doing these days? What's your passion? What are you doing with your free time these days?
Well, actually, because I have a bunch of work right now. Thank you, Jesus, for this 2026. I'm blessed.
Gracias Dios. Sí.
I'm blessed. One of the things that I do and enjoy just escaping outdoors. Like I grab my car and start driving uh, early in the mornings, especially either going to the beach. I love hang out to Cabrera and see the sunrise there. Uh, the few times that I have, uh, and just stay tranquilo. That's what I'm doing
Mm,
right now because with all this work that I'm having and more time spending on the screens, you need to disconnect. And
right.
I'm a free, as a person who's a free thinker, you need to have like a disconnection sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that I do. I used to run a lot, but I'm very chubby right now. So with a lot of
Very.
picapollos and bohemians that I had during my days in Cabaret and Sasua, that's getting me. You notice that what you're seeing is that's part of the process. But right now, just uh, getting disconnected and being disconnected is one of the cool things that you need to have, especially these days when you have a lot of people in the digital spectrum doing a lot of stuff and content.
All right, brother. I'll put your links and contact information in the description when we go live. I think this will be Thursday, 7 o'clock type of thing. I'll broadcast it live, and then a different cut will go up. But it'll go out with all the SEO and the tags and the descriptions that are proper. I didn't have that information to go live with you today, but we'll do that next Thursday. I'm attending Bliss tomorrow for a fundraiser for choral school in the Christian school in Cabarete. Sam Hanna is doing a fundraiser for them. So we got a dinner for 100 people down at Bliss for a fundraiser for chorale school. It's just and that's who I've got. I've got a 4 o'clock with Gustavo, my friend that teaches over at that school. He's also he teaches languages and stuff like that. So I got a 4 o'clock. Yeah, but I appreciate your time, and we'll get you back in. Your insight is so great. I knew it would be. And then a couple months ago, I saw you on another podcast. I'm like, oh, I was supposed to get him on my show, and that set looks a lot better than mine. And
I'm always available.
You had nice,
I'm not
comfortable chairs, and it looked like
I'm
you're
not
in a
like a
professional.
fancy big star, but I'm always available. I try to be, everybody's busy trying to chase how to pay the bills lately. So I'm these days I'm more and more available. So next time we can have another session and have a great conversation as usual.
Yeah, we'll go into a little deeper on some of the projects you're working on, specifically what it is, the work you do, but your website will be there and people can go and check you out and maybe bust you off a call if they're looking to do some development in the business sector.
Perfect.
All right, brother.
That will be great.
Appreciate your time. I love you, man.
Have a great one.
Peace out, yo.
Bye.